Okay, Phase 3 of the MCU continues as we get to our second movie, which is the introduction of Doctor Strange, starring Benedict Cumberbatch as the titular character, uh, Rachel McAdams as Christine Palmer. Uh, I'm sorry if I mispronounced this. Chiwetel Ejiofor as Mardo. Uh, Tilda Swinton as the Ancient One. Mads Mikkelsen as Caecilius, and Benedict Wong as Wong. All right, let's get started. Now, one of my early reviews on this channel was actually a review of Doctor Strange. That was done in November. Now that it's the month of May, 6 months have gone by, and I think after seeing it twice now, I think I have a lot more to say about this, and I think my opinion on it might change. But so let's break it down. Number one, the acting in this movie is amazing. Benedict Cumberbatch was my first choice for Doctor Strange from the get-go, and when I heard he was announced, I was like, he's gonna kill it. And guess what? He met any and all expectations. He was phenomenal as Doctor Strange. He pulled it off perfectly. I love the way he played, like that. I like the way he played, Stephen Strange, the surgeon, as a dick, but still managed to, but you still liked him. And I also loved how he played, and I also love how the course of the movie you see him change, and Benedict Cumberbatch did a phenomenal job at displaying the change. Phenomenal. Rachel McAdams as Christine Palmer. She was solid. She didn't really have a whole lot to do with in this movie, but I do like the fact that she's not your typical, romantic lead, because in the end, Doctor Strange and Christine, they don't get together in the end. So I kind of like that. Tilda Swinton as the Ancient One. A lot of people say she was the standout of the film, and it's kind of hard not to see why. She brings just the right amount of warmth to the role and just the right amount of badassery to the role, and she was able to blend those two things perfectly. So Swinton definitely was great. Ejiofor, Chiwetel as Mardo, was really, really good in this movie. I think people want to give Tilda Swinton a lot of credit, but I think Chiwetel is very overlooked, because I really liked his portrayal of Mardo, and I liked how they made him and Strange friends first, but throughout the course of the movie, you see him slowly start to turn and slowly start to go against the Ancient One, because we find out near the end of the movie that the Ancient One has been stealing power from the Dark Dimension, from Dormammu. And when he finds that out, he was like, you're going against what you taught us. Like, you're going against the natural law and stuff like that. And you see that turn start to happen. It doesn't fully go there yet, but I'll get to that when I get to that. But I love the progression from the good guy to the villain that he will eventually become. Because if you're familiar with the comics, Mardo is Baron Mardo, and he frequently teams up with Dormammu. But I like how they planted the seeds for that to happen. Benedict Wong as Wong I thought he was hilarious. I love the seriousness he brought to the role. I love the dry humor he had, and I love the running joke where Strange is trying to get him to laugh, and he just can't do it. And I like how it pays off at the end where he finally got him to laugh, and I thought that was great. So yeah. In terms of the cast and characters, good job. The story itself was very solid, very, very. I thought was really well done. I actually like the fact that they didn't waste 30 a half hour just seeing Strange do stuff before he gets in the car accident that destroys his hands and pretty much prevents him from and pretty much takes away his life. Strange is a world-renowned surgeon, and of course his life are his hands, and he's a doctor. And once his hands are taken away from him, his life is pretty much destroyed. I think some would say that they rushed it. I know, and maybe they did, but I'd rather see it happen in the first 10 minutes than to wait a good half hour for it to happen, because I want to get the story going. And to me, the movie really picks up once Strange gets to Kathmandu and Kamar-Taj. that to me is where the movie gets really interesting, really, really fast. And this movie is the most unique movie of the entire MCU, and probably the most unique movie Marvel's done in general, because the visual effects in this movie are trippy as fuck. And trippy in a good way. They're just so fucking cool to look at, especially when Tilda Swinton first like sends Strange down the dimensional planes, and you just see like this really wicked effects light show going on, and you see him traveling through all these dimensions, and it's just like the splash of color, and just like it just looks so. It's hard to explain. You got to watch it for yourself. That's how mind fuckery it looks, but it's done amazingly. I love it. And I also love the whole astral projection where like he's able to leave his body and pretty much stay on like another plane, which I thought was really, really cool too. La, 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 la. Sorry, I'm losing my train of thought for a second. So anyway, and the action set pieces, from what little they have, they work for me. I really do like them. They are fantastic, and I like them a lot. If I have any gripes with this movie, a lot of the jokes in this movie are kind of hit and miss. When Strange first finds the cloak of levitation, it's this real cool moment, and it looks great. Then later on in the film, we're having that superhero moment where he pops the collar. The cloak kind of like starts to wipe his face a little bit. Now, in the theater when I first saw it, I laughed. Then watching it again, I didn't really laugh. I kind of thought, a little cheesy. But a lot of the other humor I like the stuff between him and Wong, I really like, and I really think it's funny. A lot of Strange's reactions and responses to certain things, they're really, really cool. And even though I do like Mads Mikkelsen, and I thought he was really, really good as Kaecilius, they didn't really give into a lot of depth with him. Like, they pretty much give you the broad strokes. He's a former student of the Ancient One, and he's going against her because he finds her to be a hypocrite because of her being able to tap into the dark dimension to pretty much preserve her life, and her telling you not to do that. So I kind of understand how he could find her to be a hypocrite, but I would have liked to have seen more. I would like to have seen how it got to that point from Kaecilius' perspective. We don't really see that, and they don't really fully explain that, which I thought was a real big misstep that the movie could have really done in order to give Kaecilius much more dimension. So that's a real big. So in my view, that's a real big flaw, because you need to have a more fleshed out villain in order for him to be taken seriously in my eyes. You can have good performances all day long, but if your character is not really written to the point where it's good, then I gotta take points off, because he was okay, but he wasn't. He was good, but he wasn't fantastic, which is what I'm trying to get at, which is a real letdown, because Mads Mikkelsen's an extremely talented actor, and I thought he was really rocking it as Kaecilius, and I would love to have seen more. But so let's break it down. Let's get down to the end. To the end action set piece. Pretty much throughout the movie, Strange gets the Eye of Agamotto, which is the time gem, which is able for him to control time and stuff like that. So when the Hong Kong Sanctum is pretty much under attack by Kaecilius and his minions, Strange is able to use the time gem to his advantage to try and like erase that from happening. But in so doing so, it's not really working to the best of the abilities, because Kaecilius is able to break the time because of him being able to tap into that dark dimension. So pretty much in the last ditch effort, Strange has to go into the dark dimension and pretty much make a deal with Dormammu. And I actually like the look of Dormammu. I like these dark, muted neon colors of the dark dimension. I think it looks really unique. I think it looks really, really cool. And if only the Dark World had looked anything like the dark dimension, I would have had nicest things to say about that, because the dark dimension looks pretty fucking trippy, and I think it looks really cool. And I can't wait for a sequel to see it to get more expanded upon that. But anyway, Strange is able to use the time gem to his advantage by pretty much creating a time loop, and pretty much Strange sacrifices himself to be caught in a never-ending time loop in order for Earth to be protected, and Dormammu does not take it over. And I really like the idea. I really love that. It's a break from the generic villain and hero have to have this big knockdown, drag-out fight. I like this because Strange is using his intellect and he's using his brain to take down Dormammu, and I thought it was clever, and I thought it was really well executed. So he's able to like stop Dormammu, and Dormammu's like, "Get me free, make me free," and pretty much Dormammu agrees to leave Earth alone and take Caecilius and his Indians into the Dark Dimension. And that's, pretty much how the movie ends. Also, I want to briefly mention that in the middle part of the movie, Caecilius kills the Ancient One. Just so you know. So, now this movie has got two post-credit scenes. The first mid-credit scene is pretty much a setup for Thor Ragnarok. We see Thor and Doctor Strange having a conversation, and Doctor Strange agrees to help Thor find Odin and Loki. In our last credit scene, we see Mordo find this guy, Penborn. Penborn, I think his name is, whatever. He's established early on in the movie as someone who had a really bad, debilitating injury, but because he went to Kamar-Taj and to Kathmandu and saw the Ancient One, she gave him the ability of the sorcery to, pretty much give him able to have his bodily functions again. So, and this also establishes Mordo's turn because he has the best line to Penborn once he takes away his powers. And he says the reason why he makes the turn is because there's too many sorcerers, and he is going to pretty much eliminate those sorcerers. I love the motivation of Mordo, and it perfectly sets up for Doctor Strange 2 and him potentially teaming up with Dormammu. Excellent. I cannot wait for Doctor Strange 2. So yeah, overall, I love Doctor Strange. This movie to me is a solid 9 out of 10. It has its flaws, yes it does, but it has so much good stuff to it that I just can't give it anything lower than a 9. I can't go higher than a 10 because it did not fully expand upon the villain, which I thought was a misstep because Caecilius had an interesting history that I wanted to know more about. But the acting is fantastic. The set pieces is fantastic. The story is intriguing, to me at least. And it really sucked me in. And I love the special effects. And I just love that Doctor Strange is not your typical superhero. And like I said, I cannot wait for Doctor Strange 2. And I also can't wait for Thor Ragnarok and Avengers Infinity Wars because Doctor Strange will be in both those movies. And I am looking forward to it. So yeah. Next to Captain America, Doctor Strange is my second favorite hero in the MCU. So, those are my re-thoughts on Doctor Strange. I've said 9 out of 10. I love it. If you haven't seen this movie yet, I really do think you should give it a try because it is really, really good. In my opinion, really is worth the watch. And so far, this is my second favorite movie of Phase 3. Actually, in my opinion, Phase 3 is off to a solid start because I love Civil War and I love this. And now I can't wait to see Guardians 2 to see if that can keep that streak going. And of course, later on this year with Thor Ragnarok. But I'll get to that when I get to that eventually. So, anyway, my name is AJ Legend, and this concludes my review. And this concludes and this is the final review of the Blu-ray releases of what the MCU has released thus far. Of course, I'll continue to do more once they get more releases on Blu-ray. But until then, take care, guys. I'll be back again later. Peace.